Hey everybody, today's show is brought to you by the letter K.
Greg, I always thought ExtraTime was a little bit like Sesame Street.
Well, it is, which makes you Big Bird, Oscar the Grouch?
Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster, perfect. There will be no Elmo sightings on ExtraTime. Next. Hey everybody, Greg and Shep from ET. Welcome to the show. Act 1, hitting the Circle K. No, this isn't baseball, but there were Ks all over the score sheets this week in MLS. Kandji in New York, Kenny in Dallas, Kevin, KC's keeper. It's a little bit like a bad writing course. I really do hate alliteration.
What about Casey Keller? You left him out.
I did. Well, he actually didn't play this past weekend.
Oh, so I forgot. Yeah.
He got a K'd himself right there. Still, it provides a nice unifying theme for the show. Today, brought to you by the letter K, as we said. Let's kick it off with K for Kandji, as in Macoumba Kandji, or Macoumba Kandji, actually. The New York Red Bulls Senegalese striker really coming into his own this year. This past weekend, had a fantastic game. He was a force of nature out there, had a goal and an assist.
Greg, this is a young player, the Senegalese striker they got from the USL. He's got size, he has strength, he has unbelievable skill on the ball in a tight space. Got the opening goal. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I was more impressed later on. Quick little give and go in a tight space, step over, rolled, slotted out to Juan Pablo Angel. I think he's on his way to becoming a great player.
He really is. He's big and strong, and that makes all the difference. To be fair, of course, the RSL attack kind of sputtered out a little bit, but the New York defense was really on, especially Kevin Goldthwait had that fantastic stop on the line. I mean, acrobatic, throwing his body out there. And John Conway back in the nets for New York. You know how I feel about the New York goalkeeping situation.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
Conway actually helped a lot, didn't he?
I thought John Conway was tremendous. Made a couple of big saves. Forget about the time he's had off. His reflexes were sharp. More importantly, he really was a commanding presence in the back. Yeah. You could hear him vocally. I'd also say, though, that a healthy Stamler sweeping in front of the back four, he made a big difference as well.
Well, you actually called the game. You made a comment that Stamler compares favorably to some of the other best holding midfielders in the league.
I think he's underrated, if that's possible.
Sure.
Stamler is versatile. He's played at many different positions, but I would put him up against any of the deep holding midfielders in Major League Soccer.
National team caliber?
I think he is.
We'll see. Well, New York got their first win of the season in that game, and another team that got their first win of the season was FC Dallas, 3-2 over Toronto, and that brings us to our second K, who was the catalyst on the day, Kenny Cooper. He nabbed 2 goals. One was a low burner from just outside the box, the other one a penalty kick. He's now tied for the MLS scoring lead, but more importantly, Dallas got 3 points. Huge for them.
Yeah, I think Dallas has been getting better every week. Yeah. Last week, they got the late equalizer away in Toronto. This game, they need Kenny Cooper to score. You predicted last week that he was going to win the Golden Boot.
We'll see.
Your guy gets 2 goals. My guy Angel, who I predicted, got 1.
That's
but
true. Kenny
Cooper's a big-time player. And I think the partnership he's starting to develop with Ferreira, it's really starting to work out. So good game for Dallas.
Well, Ferreira is that kind of player that really complements a guy like Kenny Cooper. He's very quick, very agile, likes to look for the pass, likes to collect the ball, run at a defender, and then look to dish it off, which is what Cooper really needs. He needs that service.
Yeah, and Cooper's an atypical target striker because he'll sometimes come back, get out wide. Ferreira's got the soccer IQ to be able to read what Kenny Cooper is doing. I think they'll do well together.
Dallas plays against Chivas this weekend. How do you think that one's going to work out for them? Is Cooper going to be able to do it against a very good Chivas defense?
Chivas.
Well,
Chivas is
that's
tough.
how it goes. Well, Chicago and Kansas City from this past weekend brings us to our third K, Kevin, as in Kevin Hartman, who turned in a vintage performance in the second half to keep the Wizards in a game that easily could have turned ugly. His saves did very well to keep this team in the game. Josh Wolf, in particular, coming back, getting the 2 goals, and they snag a draw on the road.
Yeah, unbelievable. And let's start with Kevin Hartman, because clearly lack of communication on the first Chicago goal. Coming out, Jimmy Conrad there, not sure what to do. But that's a veteran goalkeeper. Very short-term memory, right? That's forgotten.
Yep.
He made the huge saves to keep his team in the game and enable Kansas City and Josh Wolf to get 2 and get the draw.
Well, you could look at it from the other side, too, in Chicago and say, really, the Fire gave this one away. They should have finished them off. They had several good chances. John Thornton comes to mind. Chris Rolfe had a good chance. is this Chicago team having some trouble putting games away, especially at home?
We talked about it last week and last year. They did well on the road, some struggles at home. And I'll tell you what, if you're the Chicago team and Dennis Hamlet, you're winning by 2 goals, you're in the 75th minute, you're at home, you have to win that game. So that's not a good performance by them.
Well, on another note, let's go out to the West. It was Houston. We talked about them last week having some troubles. They get the win, especially due to Pat Onstad. The man had a huge game between the pipes, 1-0 win, and I know you were very impressed with the double save on the PK and the rebound.
Now, Greg, you and I were talking about it. I think in the history of Major League Soccer, I really have to think about a sequence as good as that, because Pat Onstad, forget about his age, makes a great save on a penalty kick. Sometimes on a penalty kick, it's just reflex, but that one he dove, he saw it all the way, made the save, stuck up the right hand, and then his recovery from post to post to make the save on the rebound, that's as good a sequence as I've ever seen by a goalkeeper in the league. 2
straight shutouts now for Onstad. Is Houston back?
No, because really, if not for Pat Onstad, they don't win the game. I think it's great for Houston. They finally got on track. They got a victory, but I still think they need some work, especially in the attacking part of the field.
Well, some brilliant work from Pat Onstad. And tomorrow we'll look at some other brilliant players of the freshman variety. Can any of MLS's rookies become BMOCs anytime soon?